You know, sometimes you can't make anybody happy. Just as I posted my or after I posted my British invasion video, you know, the commenters, you forgot this band and that band and this band and that band. Thing is, you're absolutely right. But I need to please my audience, so I'm back for an encore. A brief encore, or as brief as it can be, of bands that I forgot of the initial British invasion in the 1964-65 period. I'm leaving off any more Kinks. I showed one Kinks album. And I'm leaving off The Who, because even though they came about, I don't really consider them an invasion group. And I love The Who. So we're not doing it there. But in the background, I'm playing one of the volume CD of the British Invasion. Remember, these were Rhino. There's a whole series of these friggin' records. Anyway, we'll see how that works. But no particular order. I'd say one of the main bands that I totally just blew off, and kind of one of the first best of the really R&B bands, were the Animals. And this is before they switched to Eric Burton and the Animals. But the Animals were John, Eric, Chaz, Alan, and Hilton. And obviously, Eric Burton was probably one of the best British blues singers, rock soul singers of any of these bands, I would say. And Alan Price, great keyboard player. He didn't last very long. I think he wanted more upfront thing, but pretty amazing. House of the Rising Sun obviously was their big hit. He sang later on his solo, I Put a Spell on You, a great cover version of it by Alan Price. And the other, obviously, the other very important member of the band. I know they all make up and probably all are really important. But Chaz Chandler, their bass player, not only was he important in the Animals, but probably even more important, he's the one that more or less discovered and signed and managed Jimi Hendrix and really brought him to fame. Did the famous concert at London, was it London Palladium, I think it was? The showcase where everyone from the Beatles to the Stones to everyone was in that audience that night and saw Jimi Hendrix, who was in England during those days. So anyway, I'll go through some of these rather quickly. This is a Record Store Day issue of a mono, kind of a live or mono gig. Not great recordings, not great, not essential, unless you're a semi-completist like myself. Animalization, great singles. Don't Bring Me Down, CC Rider. Their version of I Put a Spell on You is on here. So you got that. Animalization. Again, a lot of R&B and rock and roll covers like Louisiana Blues, Hit the Road Jack, Going Down Slow All Night Long, Shake, Rock Me Baby, Lucille, Smokestack, Lightning. So even before the Yardbirds, they were the ones doing the real standard blues things, before the Rolling Stones too, at least in Americans' ears. They were on MGM Records here. The Animals, their third and biggest yet, We Gotta Get Out of This Place. What a great friggin' single. Take It Easy Baby, Bring It On Home to Me, which was obviously a cover. Again, a lot of covers. Great song, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood was a great single. Even I'll send this out to well, never mind. Anyway, Animalization. Animals on Tour. Again, blues, boom, boom. Worried Life Blues. Let the Good Times Roll. Hallelujah. She said, yeah. The Animals. And then, you know, the band was really pretty much of a different band at this point. Eric Burton and the Animals, they became more psychedelic in the 67 period on up. This is an interesting album. Still cover, River Deep Mountain High, Ring of Fire. It's not a great record, but for a completist. But these two albums, to me, for psychedelic, when basically Eric Burton changed as a result of 67 and a result of going to the Monterey Pop Festival and seeing that. And obviously their hit Monterey, which is on here, big single in America, and you know that song well. If you don't, you should know it. But this is a great album, and it's produced by Tom Wilson, who was I believe he worked with Dylan too, and a lot of other acts. But Monterey, Orange and Red Beams is kind of the psychedelic song du jour of this album, which is kind of a fun psychedelic song. And but the hit single, one of the hit singles that I just fell in love with as a 45 was Sky Pilot. And Sky Pilot, it's a long song. It's like a 7-minute song with bagpipes in the center. And I had the 45 long before I had this album, and it cuts in half. So basically, it fades out during the bagpipe World War I fight sequence, and then fades back in with bagpipes on side 2 of the 45. But I love this record. It's definitely a timepiece. But this, and then this one, and this is even more kind of out there psychedelic. But it does have the wonderful song San Francisco Nights, which was a huge hit for Eric Burt and the Animals. Obviously, it was a song that was played all the time in my hometown of San Francisco. Except we all know when he sings on a warm San Francisco night, there are very few warm San Francisco nights. So I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. I think he was probably high on everything. But again, really great records. Worth checking out for psychedelic blues 60s fans. Again, I'm kind of showing these bands beyond the initial British invasion, but hey, if I'm showing the bands, I'm going to stick with their catalog. Another one that everyone mentioned, Screamin' Mazzy, where are the Hollies? Hollies, very big in the very beginning. Again, Just One Look, cover song they did, which was a mild hit on this album. Hear, Hear, Hear the Hollies. These albums weren't that big, but then all of a sudden they started doing songs, and Bus Stop was, I believe, I'm maybe going out of order here, it seems to me their first big hit. And a lot of their hits were written by Graham Gouldman. Bus Stop, he also wrote For Your Love that the Yardbirds had a hit with. And Graham Gouldman, you may or may not know, he later was one of the original and founding and continuous members of 10cc. But Graham Gouldman, look him up, he wrote a lot of great hits for the sort of the middle period of the British, second wave of the British invasion, 65, 66, 67. But Bus Stop, the Hollies. Beat Group, again, I'm out of order here, sorry, but again, A Taste of Honey, Mr. Moonlight, kind of going through the same songs every fucking band did in those days. So they didn't really get an original until Bus Stop, and obviously On a Carousel. Let's see here. Do I have it here? I don't have that great, but Dear Eloise, kind of the song that Graham Nash brought in when he really wanted the Hollies to kind of go beyond that single pop group, and it probably was a good reason he was pushed out, or he left the Hollies and went to California, Laurel Canyon, and we know the rest of the story with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, meaning David Crosby and Laurel Canyon. But he was a creative force as they were going a little more psychedelic, and the Hollies, and they were great still. They went beyond with Alan Clark and the rest of the band, and they succeeded on in a different plane, different direction. Obviously, later in the late 60s, early 70s, with Long Cold Woman in a Black Dress, which all of us thought was Creedence Clearwater initially, and then with The Air That I Breathe. But anyway, these are kind of cool albums. This was an import. It's a Parlophone import. That. Again, a reissue I have of, as they got more psychedelic here on Parlophone. This is actually available. Definitely worth a pickup. The Hollies, Evolution. Why did I have to look at the spine? I'm blanking out here. And then they did a lot of Dylan covers, and so like the Byrds, Columbia Records and then Epic Records put out comps. There was a Byrds comp. The Byrds played Dylan because they did so many Dylan covers, and the Hollies did When the Ship Comes In, This Wheel's on Fire, I Shall Be Released, Blown in the Wind, The Times They Are Changing, My Back Pages, The Mighty Quinn. Now, The Mighty Quinn. That was a song that Dylan never recorded on his own. It was part of the Basement Tapes and part of songs that he wrote and sent to his publishing. Actually, he did record it. His version was on Greatest Hits Volume 2. It wasn't a proper release, and it was added sort of as a bonus track there. But the big hit of that was by Manfred Mann, another of the early bands. Manfred Mann, is it on here? It's not even on here. But their first two big hits, see, I'm getting in front of myself, getting ahead of myself, Mazzy. Pretty Flamingo, and his first song, Do-Wah Diddy. Do-Wah Diddy Diddy Dum Diddy Do. Big, big hit in America. And then Pretty Flamingo. And I bought this record, and I fell in love with this cover. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful cover. I mean, cheesy maybe, but so 60s. Does it reflect the band? No. But again, you're a 12, 13-year-old boy. You kind of dig this cover, right, in the 60s. Pretty Flamingo, great song. This is a Sunday's reissue of the mono version, so this is my original stereo. Oh, it's not my original stereo, but I got it for $3.49 at the Record House, which was on Polk Street in San Francisco. So I probably bought this around 1969, 1970 maybe. But it's got covers. Let's Go Get Stoned, You're Standing By, Tennessee Waltz. Again, a single packed with a lot of other kind of fluff and anything. But I still love this cover, and I love Pretty Flamingo. In fact, I'll do a Springsteen shout out because I don't know, on some of the tapes, you Springsteen fanatics, we know who you are, Mr. Springsteen fanatic. Springsteen did a couple of songs around this period. He did a cover, a great, great live cover when I saw him back in the 70s of Pretty Flamingo, where he does this whole, 5, 6, 7 minute narration intro like he did in a lot of songs in those days. Anyway, there you go. Okay, I was asked about Herman's Hermits. Mrs. Brown, You Got a Lovely Daughter. This was a film they were in, so they jumped on the bandwagon as well, on the cinematic bandwagon with The Hard Day's Night. Peter Noon was Herman. Greatest hits, best of, actually. This is a great record. I mean, look at their hits today. They did No Milk Today, another song, No Milk Today, written by Graham Goldman, who later was in 10cc. So he had a lot of hits for these bands. Henry VIII, I Am, Mrs. Brown, You Got a Lovely Daughter, I'm Into Something Good, End of the World, Wonderful World, Sea Cruise, a lot of covers too. There used to be a poster in one of these, I thought. Maybe. I don't have it anymore. In the background, if you can hear that, Summer Song, Chad and Jeremy, that I spoke about in my earlier video. The Best of Herman's Hermits, Volume 2. This Door Swings Both Ways. Another great thing. I mean, they probably had more hits than most of these bands. More top 40 pop hits that the teeny boppers liked. Kids like me loved it. It was great. Great singles, but they seemed a little more teeny bopper. But again, they had a window. Their records were produced by Mickey Most, who also produced Donovan. Dandy. Dandy's on here. That was a cover of a Ray Davis song from the Kinks. Leaning on a Lamppost. Must to Avoid. Oh, who wrote? I gotta find out who wrote that. She's a must to avoid. Oh, I was wrong. This is the one. I do still have my posters in this one. I think I should hang this over my bed. I think not. Maybe the Omaha Introvert wants Peter Noon's poster over her bed. Not picking on you, it seems like a girl thing. A lot of girls, or Melinda, or anyway, what's that song I was looking for? MGM Records, and that song Must to Avoid, written by Sloan and Barry. Okay, so it's a standard, but great songwriting team. But Herman's Hermits, great singles. There's a great don't know if it was Real Gone Music. Those of you who are into CDs, really good remastered double CD set from the original mastered tapes, I believe, that came out in the last 3 years of Herman's Hermits. And if you can't find these of good quality and you just want the music, seek that double album, that's double CD out. I have it and it's wonderful. Lastly, I'm going to show this by Herman's Hermits. This is Blaze, original and a mono Record Store Day reissue. I believe it's Record Store Day. And what's great about this, the title or the opening song was called Museum. Great, it was a minor hit for them. And it was a song that was written by Donovan on one of the Donovan albums I showed on my Donovan video, which if you haven't seen it, you need to go back and watch Donovan because he's fabulous. He's not a second-rate Dylan. But anyway, Blaze, I think the last album I ever got by Herman's Hermits. I have no idea if they made records after that. So, and lastly, I'm going to close out A to Z, as they say, with the Zombies. I didn't have a lot of their records, except I do have a couple of comps, greatest hits, best ofs. I never had their initial albums in the time, except the one that we all talk about. I do have another copy of this, Oracle and Odyssey and Oracle. And if you know, they spelled Odyssey wrong on the cover. Not necessarily on purpose, but it became a on-purpose thing. But I just got this fabulous box set a few months ago, in January, February, I guess. And what I was excited about it, let me go through the albums first. You know, She's Not There, Tell Her No, a great singles band. She's Not There was covered later in the 70s by Santana. The Zombies, again, mono here. These are in mono, I believe. Tell Her No, 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 all that. More Zombies. And this is really a comp, Zombies R.I.P. I don't remember all the, you know, Rod Argent, Colin Blunstone were the two main vocal point songwriters. They're all alive, and they just got entered in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. And I was able to see them and meet them, some of them, and I got this autograph by all the remaining living members of the Zombies. So, Mazzy ends part 2, the requested section of the 60s British invasion with the Zombies. And thanks for indulging me, and I love your comments because it gives me ideas for other videos. But I know it's the Virgo compulsive side of me that if I didn't do this right now, I'd go on and on. And I think these videos need to be a back-to-back pair and not months apart. So while I'm in the mood, while I'm wearing the same clothes, same hat, same shirt, same glasses, same semi-shaven today, that's Mazzy's part 2. I don't want to call it part 2. I want to be a little more creative. Redux, it's not a redux. Sequel, I'll think of something. You'll see it. You'll know it before I know it again. Anyway, Mazzy loves you, and great fucking music, right? Thank you.